The holidays are here. We just had Thanksgiving. I hope that you all had a nice Thanksgiving. Christmas is right around the corner. And so I'm just thinking about festive dishes. And this is a dish that now people think of as a Christmas dish. There's not a whole lot to support that from the 18th century. I think that folks back then were just kind of having this when it was good and convenient. But this is a mince pie, and it's a wonderful dish, and I can't wait to get into it. Now, when I was trying to research this dish, I just grabbed the books that were in arm's reach. And believe it or not, mince pie is in every single one of these. And it's one of those dishes that's super common, but this one's interesting because you see plagiarism in the time period. The funny thing is that every one of them uses the recipe almost verbatim, but they also change it according to their tastes. And they got me thinking, you know, on the channel, sometimes we change something according to our tastes. I'm famous for not liking rose water, and so I won't use it. And sometimes people in the comment section don't like that. But I'm here to tell you, they were doing that in the time period too. People are people, and although we do think differently than we did 250 years ago, there are still standards that are like, well, people aren't gonna eat what they don't want to eat. And so, while this recipe is in this whole stack of books, they're all tweaking it, they're all changing it just a little bit according to what they like. And you can do that too. If you want to go down this adventure of cooking a period recipe and it has something in it that you don't particularly care for, you can find a substitute and not feel bad about that. You can experience this food and have a tweak to it and still get an idea of what they were tasting, but make sure that you like it when it's finished. For example, this recipe in all of these books uses currants, uses raisins, and it uses apples. Now, some of the ratios change along the way. Some people want more apple, some people want less apple. There's a point where you add sweetmeats. Sometimes they're using the peel from different citrus fruits. Some say lemon, some say orange. So depending on what they have or what they want to taste, they're changing the peel that you're using. And then there's an option for meat or no meat, and that does come across in most of them, but a couple of them just leave the meat out completely, or they put it in and they don't give the option. So all of that goes to say that they are tweaking this depending on what they have and what they want to use. Some people might not have enough meat that they're gonna include meat in this dish. And typically what you would use in this dish, if you were gonna put meat in, was a cow tongue. Maybe they didn't have a tongue at their disposal. You never see any other meat mentioned, at least I haven't so far. They don't just say use, a pork shoulder, or they don't say use a beef shank. They say a cow tongue. So they'll just leave that out, and that's okay. The recipe that I've chosen comes from The Universal Cook, Our Lady's Complete Assistant by John Townsends. This was written in London in 1773. An excellent way to make minced pies. Take 3 pounds of suet, shred very fine and chopped as small as possible. 2 pounds of raisins, stoned and chopped fine. 2 pounds of currants picked, washed, rubbed, and dried at the fire. 20 or 30 pippins pared, cored, and chopped small. Half a pound of fine sugar pounded fine. 1/4 of an ounce of mace. 1/4 of an ounce of cloves. 2 large nutmegs, all beat fine. Put all together into a great pan and mix it well together with half a pint of brandy and half a pint of sack. Put it down close in the stone pot and it will keep good 4 months. When you make your pies, take a little dish, something bigger than a soup plate, lay a very thin crust all over it. Lay a thin layer of the minced ingredients and then a thin layer of citron cut very thin, then a layer of minced ingredients and a thin layer of orange peel cut thin. Over that, a little minced ingredients, squeeze half the juice from a Seville orange or a lemon, and pour in 3 spoonfuls of red wine. Lay on your crust and bake it nicely. These pies eat exceedingly fine cold. If you make them into little patties, mix your minced meat and sweetmeats accordingly. Now let's talk about the order of the kitchen here, because when you look at a recipe, what you should be doing is taking a look and saying, okay, how do I want to do this as far as time goes? The thing that's gonna take a while in this recipe is the candied orange peel, because you're gonna put that on the stove and we're gonna cook that for probably 20 minutes. And while that's cooking, we could be chopping all this other stuff up. So we just wanna be as time efficient as possible. And these recipes don't really read like that. If you look up a modern recipe now, it's going to tell you that. That's just how your brain should be looking at the recipe. Okay, what's gonna take the longest amount of time? Let's get that going and I can deal with other stuff while that's cooking. One of the things we have to think about for these recipes is that they didn't have a grocery store that they could just go get candied orange peel. We can do that now, especially this time of year. You can get all sorts of fruits and mixtures of peels and that sort of thing, but they had to make it. We've done candied lime peel on the channel before. This one's gonna be a little bit different. You wanna peel off the peel of your orange, but try to get as little bit of the white as you possibly can, because that's bitter. And then all we're gonna do here is we're gonna put this into a little pot. We're gonna put 2 cups of water, 1.5 cups of sugar, and we're gonna let it simmer for 20 minutes or so. For the mixture, what we're going to do is we're gonna take our currants, and we're gonna chop them as small as possible. We're also gonna do that with our raisins. And then we're gonna pare and core all of these apples and cut them as small as possible. And so we're mincing everything. Everything is gonna be very small. We're gonna mix all of that together with the sugar and the tallow and the spices that it calls for until it's just this one kind of goopy filling. Don't forget to add your brandy and your sack. It's gonna help pull everything together. It can be a little bit tedious chopping all this stuff, but it's well worth it, so just stick with it. Once you've boiled your orange peels for about 20 minutes or so, take them off and strain them. When they've dried, sprinkle them with a little bit of sugar. You don't want these to be boiled until they're super soft. This is gonna give us some texture in our pies, so don't obliterate them, just give them a nice soft boil. Our mixture is done, our candied orange peels are done. It's time to make a pie crust. Now, you can make a pie crust at home. You need 3 ingredients, water, flour, and butter. It's very easy to do. We've done it probably 100 times on the channel. You can look back through at any pie video and we'll teach you how to make a pie crust. I have this one already made, and we're not gonna fill a pie pan, we're gonna make little hand pies with this. So I'm gonna take this bowl and just kind of cut around it so that I have this small little pie crust to fill and then fold in half. And we're gonna crimp that really nicely with our thumbs and get it in the oven. Now, I've made pies like this before and I've had success anywhere between 400 and 425 degrees. So I would probably just start at 400 degrees and I would put them in the oven and just keep an eye on them, because you just want a golden brown crust. And that probably at this size is only gonna take 30 minutes or so, maybe not even quite that long. So don't forget about them in the oven, just peek on them every once in a while. But there's nothing in here that needs to cook all the way through. There's no meat in here. So we're really just judging this by the outside of the crust. Our pie is finished and it smells incredible. It smells like Christmas. Anytime you get clove and mace and nutmeg together, it automatically makes me think of Christmas. And you can smell the brandy in there a little bit. And so there's just like this, I don't know, this festive feeling that this pie gives you. I like how the crust baked up. It's nice and thin, but it's flaky. And I can't wait to try it. Let's dive right in. Man, that's really good. Okay. So because all of these ingredients kind of go into this raw, and then you bake it, you still have some crunch from the apples. And I don't know, it's just like, it's sweet, but not too sweet. Very spicy. There's a lot of fruit flavor. That sack kind of comes through. I don't really taste the brandy a whole lot, but I don't know, it's just a treat. It's really nice. And the book mentions these would be good eaten cold. Now, I took this out of the oven a while ago. It's been sitting here, it's room temperature, and it's really nice. But I can imagine just being able to take this and stick it in your pocket, wrapped up in a towel or in your haversack, and be able to eat it as you go. It's a perfect treat, really tasty. You guys should try this for the holidays. I know that you'll love it.